All right, so here in our chapter 2, we're going to start looking at basic construction tools, and this is where we're going to get into, as you can see here, doing things like tangent lines, but also as we construct things, we are going to also identify places that we want to get rid of stuff. So we're going to be utilizing the trim command and extend if we need to, and that's considered what we call a modify or an editing command. Now, at the beginning of chapter 2 here, they kind of revisit some of the things that we already have set up. So when you logged into, if you're sitting at the very same computer that you did the last time we were together, when you got logged in and you're up and running in AutoCAD, you should have gotten to that new start menu so that you can just hit the Imperial. You didn't. Remember, it's startup 1 and then hit enter. Did it do that for you guys too?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a setting of WCTCs. That's different than what I have had in the past.
I logged into the AutoCAD account though.
Okay.
I did that on this one now.
Okay.
Wouldn't start up one.
Okay. Well, the worst case scenario is you have to re-put in the startup or start new, do that AutoCAD template like we did the first time. And then the other thing that you want to do, so here's that startup. The other thing that you want to do, it was here, maybe it's not. The other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your menu bar is showing. So I'm going to go down to AutoCAD right now. So when you get in here and you do, for instance, if you hit the new file and you grab the AutoCAD template, well, mine's gonna do this because I have mine's set up and it stays. And then what you want to do is go down to the over to the down arrow here. And we're going to go down to show menu bar. You should see a show menu bar, and it adds that extra layer in between. Okay, because we probably will be referencing that. Additionally, you probably don't have your coordinates, do you? At the bottom, like right here.
All right.
They're gone. Okay. So if we go to the customize down by the 3 horizontal lines down in the right-hand corner, you want to grab coordinates. And let me see if there's any other ones. You want to make sure ortho mode is checked. That's about, I mean, the other ones I know are standard, so I think you should be okay. So just make sure that that's there for us. Okay. And the other thing that you want to make sure that you have as well, you're going to go up here to tools, toolbars, AutoCAD, and we want to grab the object snaps toolbar. Okay, so that's going to come out for you. So make sure it's tools is the menu, toolbars, AutoCAD, and down to object snap. Okay, and that's going to be the one. I actually docked mine over on the side here, but you could put it up on top if you want to, whatever it might be. Just want to be sure I don't have anybody else. I think it's going to let me know if anybody comes in. Okay. So how are we on environment? I guess we may have to do that each and every time when we're here. If you have it on your own computer at home, it'll remember it when it comes in. I'll see if we can get that corrected, but it might be that it wipes everything out at the end of the day. And what was that? There is there for our network for sure. Yeah. And for remembering how to do it. Yeah. Very good. Okay. So, so we are going to be starting on page 2-7. Okay. On page 2-7, because they do kind of this background stuff to start off with. We're going to be starting on page 2-7. I'm going to go underneath there. And the rocker arm design, this is what we're going to be going through the tutorial with. So we're going to be hitting a couple of things. Number one, we're going to be creating a lot of circles. Okay. Number two, we're going to be doing some tangencies with lines. Okay. So that's going to be another way that we can put lines in, and tangents are going to be when we have them, you know, nice and in line with, you know, circular features, if you would. Additionally, we're going to be looking at polygons and putting those in place and how to specify those. And yeah, I think that's it for right now. Oh, the trim it command too, we're going to be using and getting rid of parts that we may not want or need. Okay. Why did this come up? I'm going to go like this. Okay. All right. So now to get into this, and it's not a bad idea to maybe go back to that page. It's going to be 2.7. It's going to have us kind of, you know, start things out here, and we've done these things. So I'm going to go over, and I'm going to start on page 213 by putting our first large circle at the origin. Okay, at the origin. So if we go back to page 2-7, this is our drawing. We are going to create this large circle, even though it's not going to, we're going to be trimming away parts that we don't need as we construct this. We're going to create this as a circle to start off with. All right. And this has a radius, as it calls out, as 50. So that means its diameter is going to be 100. Okay. So let's go to AutoCAD. Here we go. And I am going to go in and specify a circle to be at our origin. Now, my origin technically is down here. All right. I'm fine with that. All right. Because after I get my circle in place, I'm going to kind of zoom so that I can have it in the middle of my screen. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to got to get to my home menu. And I want to find the circle. Okay, the circle is up here on our draw command, and the icon is the third one over from the left. It's going to be populated there by design because it's a popular command to use, just like our line command is. Now, as we hover over this, this is going to be a center radius. So what that means is we have to specify our center and the radius of the circle, and it's going to create a circle for us. Now, I'm just going to remind us there's this little arrow underneath. This means that this is a stacked command, so that there's more underneath there. And it's going to be related to creating a circle. So in this case, you'll notice that there's a number of different versions, if you would, of creating a circle. The next one is center diameter. And it all really depends on what information you have available or what entities or features you have to create it. So we already used that center diameter the last time we were together, but we can also do 2-point circle, 3-point circle. We can do tangent, tangent, radius. That one we're going to be looking at today. And then tangent, tangent, tangent. Okay. And they're all valid ways of making circles. All right. So since we have center and we have the radius here, I'm going to leave it right as center radius. Whatever you click on will go up to the top. So it'll remember that. So if you want to utilize it again, it'll be there, or you can arrow down and look at the other stacks if you need to. So my command line, just want to remind you, remember, we always want to tell AutoCAD what we want it to do and then follow what it needs us to input to create it. So we clicked on that circle center radius. So it's asking us right away, and it's asking us in two places. It's asking us either on the command line at the bottom or right by our cursor, okay? And it's saying to us, okay, specify the center point for the circle. So we want to put in then, I'm going to put in the coordinates of 0, 0. You could left click, and that's going to be your center, okay? But I'm going to strategically place it at our origin. So I'm going to go 0, 0. Now, you may say, does it really matter? Depending. I'm going to say depending. And the thing that it depends on is if there is a chance that your geometry can be used somewhere else. For instance, like in a CNC machine or in a like in a laser cutter that's going to cut that out. If you have it set at the 0, 0, the world 0, 0 on AutoCAD, when you pull that into another program that is going to maybe read it for a tool path, then it's going to correlate that 0, 0. And it's a kind of a nice thing that you have going on because it's less steps that you have when you set it up and pull it in. Okay. So whenever you can put it at 0, 0, even if you're like, I'm never going to use it like that, that's fine. Then just click wherever you want. But starting with the origin is a good idea. So even though my origin is down there, the next thing it's asking me for is specify my radius. And my radius was 50, right? So I'm going to go 50, enter, and I can't see it. That's because it's bigger you know, than where I'm at. And that's okay. So all I'm going to do is I want to zoom so that I can see this on the screen. Now I'm going to zoom and I'm going to do that same kind of shortcut, that keyboard shortcut that we did last time. You're going to hit the Z key. That's always zoom, Z, and then enter or space bar. The space bar is an enter key in AutoCAD. That's kind of special about it. So if you want to use that space bar, you can. So now it's going to say, do you want, you know, it's asking me, what kind of zoom do I want to do? I just want to do a zoom extents to get that circle on my screen. So then I can either click on extents right here with my left mouse button, or I can simply hit E and then enter. That's why it's highlighted. And when I do that, now this is on the screen for me. Okay. And what I like to do is I do like using the roller on my mouse. I'm going to put my roller at the center of the screen and I'm going to roll towards myself. I always roll away or towards myself. And I'm just going to get it about that big because I know I'm going to be putting some geometry around it. Okay. So now we can see it on the screen. And you'll get used to that zooming and all that kind of stuff. Just want to remind us too, the roller is where I do most of my zooming now, especially once the geometry is on the screen. But you can also hold it down by pressing on that roller, hold it down, and then you can move it back and forth and drag it to pan wherever you want to, and then release, and then it's going to be there. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go back to where we had gotten started. All right. And we want to get, and this is on page 213, where really, you know, things start going, creating circles. We want to get the other two circles on the screen as well. Okay. The other two circles on the screen. Now, what's nice about us putting this at the first one at the 0, 0, the dimensions that we're given here are from the center of that circle. Now, the advantage of that now as well, as we look here, whenever we put in the coordinates for the new circles, we can put them in absolute form. Remember, absolute form is referencing back to the 0, 0 of the actual drawing itself. And this way we don't have to do that extra click of snap from. Okay. So we're going to be putting in these smaller circles. The smaller circles, they both have radiuses of 25. Now the one in the upper right-hand corner, oops, I got to admit, Jake, there we go. In the upper right-hand corner, we're going to notice that from the 0, 0 is going to be over 70. So that's going to be our X dimension horizontally. And then our Y dimension, so our X dimension right here is going to be 70. And our Y dimension is going to be 40 for the center. Okay. So let's go back to AutoCAD. And we're going to hit that circle command again. Now we are given radiuses for this, so we're going to stick with that center radius. And then now it's going to say specify your center point. So we're going to go 70, 40, enter. And now you'll notice that my center is starting up and to the right, exactly where I want it to go. And now it's asking me for the radius. And I want to key in 25, enter. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing for down below. So if we go back, let's see what our coordinates are going to be. Okay. So here's our center here. We've got to go over to the left. This is going to be our X dimension, -50. And down, it's going to be a -60. So it's going to be a -50, -60. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to do another circle, center radius. Where's my center point? It's at -50, -60, enter. Now remember, positive is always assumed. We don't have to put the positive in coordinates. It's going to assume those to be positive, but the negatives we have to put. And then now my radius is going to be 25. All right. Now, it's really a personal preference, but I always like to look at something and be like, if I would lose this right now, would I want to redo that? So we're going to just do a real quick save. Okay. It's always good to save often, as we know. So I'm going to go up to, you could hit the file, this little, like in our quick command or a quick access menu, you'll notice that there is that little disc with the pencil. That's the save as. We haven't saved it yet. So we are going to do a save as, and then you want to navigate to where you want to save to. For those who want to have the flexibility of working at home and here, make sure you do put it on a flash drive just in case. You can put it on your OneDrive. Your OneDrive, you should have access at home as well, but just in case in the event. So so I'm going to go to, you know what I do? I'm so bad. I put everything on my desktop, at least for a while, and then it kind of stays there. So I'm gonna keep it there. I'm gonna put it on my desktop so it's easy to find. And this is called, what was this called? Rocker arm. So we'll call it rocker arm. And then we're going to set save. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's nice. All right. Any questions so far? Are we all here? Good. So now we're going to turn the page and we are going to make these lines tangent. Okay. On the next page here on 214, they have you pull out that object snaps toolbar. We've already done that. It's available to us, but if you do need to review how to do that, it's there. But now we're going to utilize that line command, but we're strategically going to make this so that it's nice and smooth from one curve to another. So as we look back at our drawing, underneath here, the lines that we want to create is a tangent line between these two radiuses and these two radiuses. All right. These are going to be curves. So we're not going to do lines for those. So just this one and this one. So we're going to use that tangent function. It has to be tangent at this edge and that edge and that edge and that edge. So we're going to do two lines. Okay. So starting on page 215 is where they look at this, but I'm going to do the demo over here. So I'm going to click on my line command. I have to tell AutoCAD, I'm going to create a line right now. And it wants to know, specify my first point. Now, I don't have coordinates here, but I do have the object snaps available. So I'm going to go over to my toolbar here. Now, you might say, well, if I have, now remember, this is a good time to kind of talk about this. There's running object snaps down here at the bottom. Remember, that's our grade where we can set up the things that we like, okay? I could set this up to have tangents in there as well, all right? But what you're going to find is you can have them all active, and then it gets like annoying when it starts jumping to different things. So you only want to activate the ones that you use most often. But even then, you want to kind of like, okay, don't ask me about endpoint because I really want to be tangent. So what happens is the running object snaps are always running in the background for you to be convenient. But when you go over here to your object snaps toolbars, that takes precedence over anything that's in the running that's in that running object snaps. Okay. So that means that even though endpoint was clicked on my running object snaps, when I go over here to find tangent, which is about a little over halfway down, now it's only going to be tangent sees is what it's going to look for. That's it. Okay. So that's what we want to happen. We want to just focus on being tangent. So I'm going to go to it, and you want to put it in a place that is about where you think. It doesn't have to be exact, but that way it finds the right tangent side. If you go over here and over here, it's going to make a line tangent from those areas. So you want to go about where you want it to be. So I'm going to start there. Now, it only works for one click. So I have to go back to my object snaps line, because now if I go over here, you'll notice it's not finding that tangency until I click on it again and I go over, and then you'll see the tangency symbol snap. And once you see that tangency symbol, you can click, left click, hit enter, and now you've got that one in place. Let's do that again for the other one. So I'm going to start the line command again. I'm going to go tangent. I'm going to start right here where I see that symbol start, and then I'm going to go down here. Notice it's wanting to snap to the center because that's what the running object snap is. So our object snaps menu is like a one-click deal. So you got to go back, click it again, and then find that tangency, click, and then hit enter. Okay. Now, remember, if it didn't go quite the way you wanted it to, you can just hit escape, do undo, and start over. And again, it's line, hit the tangency, find it on the drawing, click, hit the tangency, do the other one, click, and then enter. All right. Let's go back. So good. All right. So we are now at the bottom of page 216. The bottom of page 216. We've got these two lines in place, right? Now, the next thing that we're going to do, go back to our drawing. We are going to put in these two radiuses. All right. Now, something to note, this radius right here is 40 and this radius is 50. So they're not the same radius size. All right. Now, to get these in here, we're going to create two circles. There's going to be a circle here. There's going to be a circle here. Now, this is called construction because even though it's not going to end up as a final circle, we're going to get rid of the parts that we don't want so that we're left with an arc here. Okay. So we're going to create a circle and a circle. It's going to be each of them are going to have the respective radiuses. But now notice they need to be tangent and tangent to either side. So we're going to use the circle command without a center. We're actually going to use the tangent radius way to put a circle in. So if I go back to AutoCAD, I'm going to go down, or I'm going to go up by my circle command. I'm going to arrow down and I'm going to go down to tangent radius. And I'm going to click. Okay. Now it's going to say specify the point for the first tangency. Now here again, remember my running object snaps doesn't have tangency on it. So I have to go over here to tangency and I'm going to grab it. And I'm going to click, I'm going to do the small one underneath here first. So I'm going to click the small circle. You can click the larger one. The order doesn't matter. So that's my first tangency, my second tangency. And now it says specify the radius. This is the 40. So 40 radius. So now I've got a circle in there. This is good. I'm going to go up and do the other one. Notice that at the top of that stacked circle, it remembers the last one. So I can just click that again. And then I'm going to, oh, it actually does you don't have to do the tangency, I guess. I got the tangency here, but this time my radius is 50. So make sure you put 50 in. There we go. Okay, this is good. Now I've got the entire perimeter of my shape. Any questions so far? Okay, I've got the entire perimeter. So now I'm going to utilize one of our first modify commands, which is one you're going to use like all the time. It's called trim. Okay. So trim is right up here to the left of the eraser. So erase and trim, you're going to use those all the time. Now I'm going to call your attention to the fact that underneath trim, there's that triangle over to the right. And when you click that triangle, it's a stacked command again. Underneath is extend. Trim and extend like go together. I don't know. They always have. Okay. Now, when we do the trim command is going to be, we are going to click on the portion of the feature we want to get rid of. Okay. Click on the portion of the feature we want to get rid of. So we're going to click on trim. We're going to go down and we're going to singly select the parts that we want to get rid of. I'm going to start over here. I'm going to hover over without clicking just yet the part of each one of those circles that I want to go away. So once I see that, oh yeah, I get a preview, which is nice. I'm going to click and now that part goes away. I'm going to go over the top of this part, goes away. Now I'm going to go to the inside of the shape and I'm going to go to this side of this radius, this side here, and any of those internal radiuses, and it's going to trim to where it intersects with the next entity. Once I'm done here, I can either hit enter or escape, and I'm done with my command. Okay. Now, if for some reason that didn't go the way you wanted it to, remember the undo is our friend. You can either go up here and click that little, arrow going to the left, or you can just hit enter, and that's the undo command. And now I'm back with all the stuff that I had. Or Control Z. Thank you. That worked. Oh, it does. It does. Okay. All right. All right. So then I'm going to redo it because actually I'm like, nope, I want it back to the way it was. All right. So how did trim go for you guys? So trim is always, we want to click on whatever I want to get rid of. And then and if you hover over it, like if you just kind of go over the top of it without clicking, it'll give you a nice little preview and you'll know if you're on the right part or not. Okay. Questions? What do you think? Should we do a quick save? Now that we saved, did a save as and identified, it's not a bad idea to click the save command. AutoCAD does not have an auto save. I think you can set it up in the settings, but by default, it doesn't. It doesn't. So we just want to save often. And when you get burnt, and you will, It's sometimes not, it just for whatever reason, it'll like randomly stop working and you'll be like, oh, whatever you didn't save won't be, won't be there that for you to come back to. So I always like to save whenever I get to a point where I don't want to redo what I just did. All right. So kind of ask yourself that question. Okay. So that means that we are down on the bottom. We're ready to start looking at those internal polygons. So I'm going to go here. So this is towards the bottom of page 221. Okay, 221. And the first shape that we want to put in is going to be this. Is that a 2, 4, 6? That's a hexagon. Hexagon. Octagon is 8. Hexagon is 6, right? So, we're going to make that hexagon on the middle there. All right. So we are going to use what we refer to as the polygon command. So over here up in the draw command over here, you're going to notice that we have underneath the rectangle, you have to go to the right underneath the rectangle command, there is polygon. So we're going to go down to the polygon. Now, polygon just means that we don't have to make each one of the sides. We can just specify how many sides. We can give it a parameter as far as how big or small to make it, and then it's going to drop it in for us. All right, so it's nice. We don't have to construct it. The first thing it's asking us here, remember we clicked on the polygon. Now it's going to ask us how many sides do we want? All right, and the default here is 4, but we want to do 6. Okay, so we want to put 6 in here. Then it says, where is the center point? Okay. So now we can left click wherever we want it to go, or we could key in 0, 0. Now, because the center of this larger circle is already at 0, 0, we could specify the center to be it. So if you hover over kind of where that 0, 0 is, I know it's not easy to see, it's putting a circle for the center of it right in the center. Or we could, if you're like, ooh, I want to make sure, you could put in 0, 0, enter, and it's going to go to the center there. Now, it's asking us another question right away. It's saying, do you want to put this inscribed in a circle or circumscribed about a circle? Okay. Now, what that means is that my polygon, if I have a diameter of a circle, inscribed would be inside of it so that the points would be on the inside of the circle. If it's circumscribed about the circle, that means on the outside of it, the flats are going to have a circle on the inside of that polygon. Okay, so then it's about a circle. So the one that we want, if we look at our example here in the book, oopsie, where are you? There you are. If we look at ours, the dimension that we're given is going to be across the flats, which is 60. So if we would take and we would put a circle in there, this is circumscribed about a circle, and that diameter of that circle is going to be equal to the distance over the flats. Do you see that? So we're going to go back to AutoCAD, and we're going to answer that question with circumscribed about the circle. Okay. So now we've got this like kind of willy-nilly, all right? But we need to orient it so that flat part is horizontal. We want to look at the orientation in our book. So do you know of a way, something that we can do to get something to be either horizontal or vertical? You remember? Yeah. It's actually just something that we can toggle on and off right now. We did this last time. It was a command called, go ahead, what do you think? We call it the ortho. We want to put ortho on. And ortho means that we are only going to be able to draw or put things in orientation, either vertical or horizontal. So we're going to put the ortho on down there. Now there's 2 ways we can do it. We can either click the icon at the bottom of the screen there that looks like a 90-degree angle, right? Or there's a quick command. It's called F8. When I'm connected, I can't use F8. It uses it for something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my ortho, but F8 does it if you're not connected to other stuff. Okay, now we've got to look back and we've got to get our orientation right. We want the flat here to be horizontal. So if we go back to AutoCAD, okay, I've got to make sure that I've got this so that the flats are horizontal, okay? And now this sets the orientation, okay? And I can leave this here. I don't click yet because now it's asking me what is the radius. So this is setting my orientation, okay? If you go horizontal, my points are up. If you go vertical, I have my flats are going to be where I need them to be. And now before I click, I have to enter in a radius. And that radius, I'm going to click down here. I've been kind of back and forth. I want to make sure I'm in there. That radius is 30 because the distance across is 60. So we're going to put 30 in and then enter. Let's do that again because it's kind of a little bit different. So I'm going to delete it. We're going to go back up to polygon, which is underneath rectangle. It'll be there now. We're going to find the center. Oh, I'm sorry, number of sides first, and then find the center, 0, 0. And then we're going to circumscribe about a circle. And then making sure your ortho is on, we want to get the flat horizontal. And then we want to input the radius to be 30. Yeah. Okay. How did that go for you guys? Yeah, so just kind of watch that command and follow along. Now we're going to also use that polygon for putting in that square, okay? So on page 323 or 223, we're going to put in this square. Now the dimension for the square is going to come back from our original, okay? And it's a 20 by 20. Now, I could draw this in as a square if I wanted to and just put lines, you know, all the way around. But what's nice about a polygon is if you remember, it said specify the center. And you'll notice that this square is located by its center, okay? We would have to kind of offset and figure out the distances away. But since we have a center there that's going to be shared by a feature we already put in, then we might as well use the polygon and it's going to get us there quicker. So we're going to go through that same process. We're going to go up to polygon. It's on the top now. So I'm going to click that. It's going to ask how many sides. This time it's going to be 4 sides. Okay. Enter the center point. So now we could key it in because we know where that center is. But if we hover over the edge of that radius, it grabs the center of that feature. So once it's there, I'm going to click. Okay. This one, again, is going to be circumscribed about, oh no, I'm sorry. It's going to be inscribed in a circle because the circle would be on the inside and that width is going to touch the flats on the inside and that's going to be 20. So this is going to be inscribed in a circle. All right. Now ortho, again, notice my points are up when I go horizontal. My flats, come on, wait a second. How come it's not? Oh, how am I going to get that? So if I go turn that off, can't just willy-nilly. What do you think? What we will do is we're going to put on right next to ortho. Do you see there's one that's standard here? It's called polar tracking. We want to click that on. All right. And it's going to polar track here and it's doing 90 degrees. So we're going to do the little arrow down. And you'll notice that what's checked is 90, 100. We're going to click the 45 because we need to get this to be like in between 45. So now when I go around, do you see how it goes every 45 degrees? And now this orients it at that 45 degrees to where I want it to be. So polar tracking, you want to turn on and then click the 45. And then now we want to put in that radius, and that radius is going to be 10 because the diameter is 20. So let's do that again. I'm going to delete it out. And then down here at the bottom where it says polar tracking, you want to click that on, go to the arrow next to it and grab the 45 degrees. Okay, we just need that in between because it's only got 4 sides. Go to polygon again. Number of sides is 4. specify the center, hover over that radius. When that center activates, you can click circumscribed in a circle, and then we've got to get it to that 45-degree angle so that it's it's a regular horizontal vertical square. And then our radius is going to be 10. And there you go. So don't click when you get it to the orientation you want. Just get it to the orientation, and then you're going to put the radius in. Okay. All right. Then the last feature we got to put in is going to be the circle down there. And I bet you guys know how to do that one. So all we're going to do is we're going to go up to the circle command, but notice that it has the tangent radius on top. We're going to go down to circle. We know the diameter is 20. So I'm going to go center diameter. I'm going to hover over where the center is on that radius. I'm going to click, and that diameter is going to be 20. Enter. And there we go. I'm going to zoom out here, and I'm going to kind of pan around. And if we go back to page 2.7, you're going to notice that it matches. Okay, there we go. Now, when you're handing in, I have had some students add dimensions. You don't need to add dimensions, all right? We're not to dimensioning just yet, okay? So there is no reason. If you want to add some dimensions for your own purposes, that's totally fine, all right? I have no problem with that at all, okay? So now you would go in and you would grab your screen snip of our, of our shape here. And that's what you're going to add to the like a document of some sort of what you're going to be then uploading to the assignment in Canvas. I know we all kind of, I don't know, I did it the Windows Shift S, and it didn't seem like it was working on these computers. So we kind of, figured out a way around it. It was a little messy the last time we were together, but it seemed like for those who have been handing in that they've got it, they've got a method. So continue to do that. If when you're working on these here in lab, I can help you through it, and we can make sure that we've got you in a good place before you hand in. So if you do need some assistance on that, I'll work with you individually. Okay. My ideal, if you want, you can put them all in one document, but I've had some people do them in different documents as well, and that's okay too. That's okay too. What I am I'll experiment with maybe some other ways we can upload and make that easier, but you just need a screenshot then of your rocker arm. Okay. Now that is the tutorial that we have here for our chapter 2. At the very end of chapter 2, it goes into exploring some other, length and I think area and different types of things. I'm not going to have that part of our assignment, but I encourage you to look at that and kind of explore those commands as well. But there's no way for me to like see that on a screen really. So just know that it's there. Are there any questions on this tutorial? Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording, stop this, and then we'll be back with, any questions that you might have individually on assignments.